Video isn't good enough. Anyone and everyone can make video these days thanks to technology making it so easy. So if you're an entrepreneur who wants to stand out, then simply making videos isn't going to cut it. You need to create story-driven video. Hi, if we haven't met yet, I'm Katie Hawkins, a video strategist and consultant with Here for Good Films. Now, what is story-driven video? Well, story-driven video is simply telling a story to connect with your audience, to ignite their emotion and logic, keeping them engaged, all while leaving a lasting impression. Now, this is important because some videos might do one or two of these things, but most, they won't do all three. So let's look at each of these three benefits of story-driven video. First, story-driven video will keep your audience engaged. We tell ourselves stories all the time. We even create stories when we don't need to. Why? Because stories are how we make sense of the world. Stories are in our DNA, so when we hear a story, we will immediately be attracted to it. If you have a clear purpose for your story, then you'll keep your audience engaged and interested. They'll want to watch until the very end. When you have a clear purpose, you're able to tell a clear story, and audiences love that. They don't want to wonder why they are watching something or be thinking, I don't know, what's the point? They want to know that something good is coming and that the payoff is worth their wait. There are so many story-driven videos out there that quickly lose viewers as soon as the audience feels a hint of confusion or they can't identify the purpose. The last thing you want is for your audience to quit watching before you get your message out to them. Next, story-driven video will ignite your audience's emotions and logic. Now, this is important because in business, emotions sell, but it's so much easier to use reason and just simply list off all the reasons why your product or service is the best option for the viewer. And while it might be easier, keep in mind that people actually make their purchasing decisions based off their emotions and then will later justify it with logic. So it's really important to make sure that you appeal to their emotions. And story actually does that more than any list of stats ever will. And it's all because of how your brain is influenced by story. When a person hears a story, a hormone is released called oxytocin. Now, this hormone is responsible for empathy and emotions. It's what regulates our emotional responses. Now, as a result, when your brain hears a story, oxytocin is released and you begin to feel as if you personally were part of the story. And as the emotional connection between the story and the listener grows, the more likely they will be to remember it later when they process their purchase decision logically. Lastly, story-driven video will leave a memorable impression. Now, scientists have a saying, neurons that fire together wire together, or more simply, the more parts of your brain that are being used, the more likely your brain will store that information, also known as remembering. Now, story actually uses 5 times as much as your brain as simply listening to lists of facts and figures. So when you create and tell story with a video, you are quite literally making sure that your audience is going to remember it. So what does this all mean for brands? Well, if you only talk about what you do and who you help, or maybe who you don't, that's not a story-driven video. That's just video, and you're missing out on all the benefits of story. Whenever you get the urge to list out reasons why it's so great to work with you or all the benefits of your product or service, resist the urge and instead build a story around those facts and figures. Next week, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this with real life examples. When you speak to your viewers and potential customers using story instead of facts and figures, you'll convey the same points, but you'll keep your audience's emotions and logic ignited and their brains engaged, which forms a lasting impression of your brand's product or service. Now, at Here for Good Films, we specialize in creating story-driven video. In fact, we have our very own method, the bottom-to-top storytelling method. And if you are ready to start taking advantage of all the benefits story-driven video has for your business, leave a comment below so that we can help you leverage the power of your story through video.